My name is Ada, I'm 18, and until the day everything changed, I thought I knew who I was. My life was simple, predictable: school, homework, my part-time job at the local cafe, and long evenings spent scrolling through my phone, pretending I had the world figured out. My parents, especially my mother, were loving in their own way, though there was always a hint of distance, like a secret tucked behind her eyes that I wasn't supposed to see. I liked the routine. It made me feel safe. But lately, that safety had begun to feel fragile. There were moments when I would catch my mother staring at me, lingering just a little too long, and I'd feel a shiver of unease. She'd smile quickly, redirect the conversation, but the weight of her gaze stayed with me. And my father, he was rarely home, always traveling for work, always busy, always somewhere I couldn't follow. It was normal, or at least, I told myself it was. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, I was walking home from school, umbrella in hand, when my phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize appeared. "Ada, we need to talk. I know who you are." I froze. My heart began to race. Who was this? How did they know my name? My fingers hovered over the screen, unsure whether to reply. A million thoughts collided in my mind. Was this a prank? A stalker? Someone dangerous? I decided to ignore it at first, trying to convince myself it was nothing. But the messages kept coming. Short, cryptic. "Meet me at the park near the fountain. 6 p.m. Come alone. I am your father. I have been looking for you." My breath caught. Father? That couldn't be. My father had been my father my whole life, or at least, the man I had called Dad. Who was this stranger claiming he was my real father? The thought made my stomach twist. I wanted to delete the messages, block the number, pretend it never happened. But there was a part of me, a deep, nagging curiosity that refused to let go. I felt a strange pull, as if some invisible thread was tugging me toward the truth, toward him. That evening, I walked to the park with my hood up, trying to look casual, trying to convince myself I wouldn't be scared. The sky was a dull gray, the rain leaving slick puddles on the cobblestone path. I arrived at the fountain. Mist floated over the water, and the empty benches seemed to whisper secrets. I waited. My pulse thumped in my ears. Seconds stretched into minutes. And then I saw him. A man standing beneath the old oak tree, his coat drenched, but his eyes fixed on me. There was a familiarity in his gaze, a strange recognition that sent chills down my spine. "You're Ada," he said softly, almost as if testing my name. "Yes. Who are you?" My voice trembled. He took a step closer, hands open, non-threatening. "I know this is hard to believe. But I am your father. The one who should have been with you from the beginning." My chest tightened. My mind screamed, "This isn't real. I have a father. He's not here. This is impossible." You're lying," I said, trying to hide my fear, trying to hold onto the only reality I had ever known. He shook his head slowly. "I swear on everything, I am telling the truth. I can prove it. But first, you have to trust me, just a little." I wanted to run. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to throw myself into his arms and scream at the unfairness of life. Instead, I froze, caught between fear and curiosity, between the life I knew and the possibility of a truth I had never imagined. And that was when I realized, I couldn't ignore him. Not now. Something in his eyes told me that my life, my real life, was about to begin. After our brief encounter at the park, I couldn't sleep. His words echoed in my head. "I am your father. I can prove it." Every rational part of me screamed that it was impossible, but a part of me, something deep inside, wanted to believe him. I spent the night tossing and turning, staring at the ceiling, imagining all the scenarios. Was my life up to this point a lie? The next morning, I decided I couldn't ignore the messages any longer. I called the number, my hands trembling. "Hello," he answered softly, immediately recognizing my voice. "You said you could prove it," I said, my voice cracking. "Then prove it. I need to know the truth." There was a pause, and then he spoke. Meet me at the old library on Willow Street. I'll show you something that belongs to you, something only I could have. My heart raced. Something that belongs to me? What could that mean? I arrived at the library in the late afternoon. The building smelled of old paper and dust, and the dim light filtered through the high windows. He was waiting near the back, holding a leather-bound folder. His eyes softened when he saw me. "This belonged to your mother," he said, handing it over carefully. "I kept it safe all these years. It has the truth about your birth, and about me." I opened the folder, my hands shaking. Inside were documents I didn't understand at first: birth records, letters, photographs. And then I saw it, a name that was unfamiliar to me, a name that made my stomach turn. My real name. It wasn't Ada. He watched my reaction carefully. "I know this is shocking," he said quietly. "I didn't come here to destroy your world. I came to give you the truth. Your mother, she hid this to protect you." I felt anger rising. Protect me? By lying to me my whole life? He nodded. "Yes. You were always safe, but never fully free. Now it's time you know everything." I spent the next hour going through the folder, piecing together fragments of a past I never knew existed. Letters hinted at threats, at people from his life who could harm me. Photographs showed me as a baby, held in his arms, yet surrounded by strangers whose faces were always blurred. "Why now?" I asked finally, my voice barely audible. "Why tell me now?" "Because you're ready," he said. "And because they might be coming for you. There are people who will stop at nothing to erase the truth, and you are the key." My mind spun. Who were these people? Why had my mother hidden this? And if he truly was my father, why had he stayed away all these years? I left the library in a daze, clutching the folder to my chest. For the first time, my life felt like it was built on shifting sands, ready to collapse beneath me. But amid the fear and confusion, a single thought emerged clearly. I had to confront my mother. I had to understand why she had kept this secret from me, and why my real father had been a stranger until now. That evening, I returned home, the folder clutched tightly to my chest. My mind raced with questions, accusations, and a gnawing sense of betrayal. How could my mother hide something so enormous from me? And why hadn't I ever suspected it? The house was quiet. My mother was in the kitchen, humming softly, but the tune didn't reach her eyes. She looked up when I entered, and I swear I saw recognition, fear, even, cross her face. "Mom, we need to talk," I said, my voice trembling yet firm. She set down the dish she was washing, her hands shaking slightly. "Ada, I didn't know how to tell you." I slammed the folder onto the table. "How long have you been keeping this from me? All these years? You let me live my life thinking I was someone I wasn't." Her eyes filled with tears. "I did it to protect you. I thought I was doing the right thing, the only thing I could do. The world out there, it's not safe. Your father, he has enemies. Dangerous people. If you knew the truth too early, they would have come after you." I shook my head, fury bubbling inside me. "Enemies? What are you talking about? And why didn't you ever tell me the real story?" She hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. "Because your father, the man who raised you, the one you've always called Dad, he wasn't completely honest either. He kept secrets to protect you, yes, but some of those secrets weren't just for your safety. They were about power, inheritance, old rivalries. You were caught in the middle." My stomach twisted. I had always thought my family was ordinary, even boring. But now, it seemed my life had been a carefully constructed lie. "Mom, I met him today," I said, my voice shaking. "The man who claims he's my real father. He showed me documents, photographs, letters. Everything points to him being my true father." She looked stricken. "I feared this day would come. I tried to prepare you, but it's worse than I imagined." "What do you mean, worse?" "There are people who would stop at nothing to control the family, to erase truths that threaten their plans. And some of those people, they are closer to you than you realize." A chill ran down my spine. My mind raced through everyone I trusted. Friends, teachers, family. Who could it be? She took a deep breath. Ada, you need to understand. Every decision I made, every secret I kept, was meant to shield you from the consequences. But now that you know, you must be careful. The past is dangerous, and the truths we buried, they have teeth. I felt trapped, a mix of anger, fear, and desperation swirling inside me. I wanted answers, but I also wanted to run. I didn't know which was more dangerous, the world outside or the walls my mother had built around me all these years. And just as I was about to ask her who I could trust, my phone buzzed. A message from the stranger. They know you've discovered the truth. Meet me tonight. Alone. There is more you must see. My hands shook as I read it. Who knows? What more could there possibly be? And why am I always on the edge of danger? The night was dark when I arrived at the abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. The stranger's message had been urgent, insistent. There is more you must see. My heart pounded, but I couldn't turn back now. Every fiber of me demanded the truth, no matter how dangerous it might be. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old paper. He stood in the shadows, waiting. Ada, or Isabella, he said quietly. Hearing that name again made my chest tighten. You need to see this. He handed me a folder thicker than the one from the library. Inside were documents, photographs, and letters that exposed secrets I had never imagined. Names of powerful people, legal papers proving hidden inheritances, even threats against our family. My mind raced. All this time, my life was not just a lie, it was a battlefield. This, he said, pointing at a set of documents, is why your mother hid me from you. And why she married the man who raised you. He gave you safety, yes, but he also hid you from a legacy you were never supposed to inherit so young. I stared at him, shocked. A legacy? What do you mean? You are the rightful heir to a family fortune that has been disputed for decades, he said. People will do anything to claim it. And some of them, they've already tried. Your father, the one who raised you, has his own secrets tied to that fortune. He did what he thought was best, but at a cost. A storm of emotions crashed over me. Betrayal, fear, anger, confusion. How could the man I trusted most, my father, have kept such monumental secrets? And why didn't my mother tell me everything earlier? Then he handed me an envelope sealed with red wax. Inside was a key and a note. The truth about your inheritance is locked away where only your bloodline can reach it. Go there, but be careful. You are not alone in wanting what is rightfully yours. I looked up at him. Who else is after this? He hesitated. People you trust. People you call family. Some are loyal, some not. You must decide who to believe. And you must act quickly, before they act first. My hands trembled as I gripped the envelope. The stranger's words rang in my ears. Some of the people closest to you are not who they seem. I left the warehouse feeling both terrified and empowered. The path ahead was dangerous, yes, but finally, I held pieces of my real identity in my hands. I wasn't just Ada anymore. I was Isabella, heir to a secret that could change everything. That night, I sat in my room, staring at the key. I knew what I had to do next. I had to confront my father, the man who raised me, and discover the depths of his deception. Only then could I reclaim my life, and my truth. But a single thought lingered in my mind, icy and heavy. If I'm not careful, discovering the truth might cost me everything, including my life. The sun was barely rising when I approached the old family estate, the key from the stranger clutched tightly in my hand. My heart pounded with a mixture of fear, anticipation, and a strange thrill I hadn't felt before. Today, I would finally uncover the truth about who I really was, and what my life had been hiding all these years. The door creaked open as I inserted the key, revealing a dimly lit room lined with shelves of dusty files and locked boxes. Every step I took echoed through the empty halls, making me feel both small and powerful at the same time. The stranger appeared behind me, his expression serious. Once you see this, Ada, Isabella, there's no going back. I nodded, gripping the folder in front of me. Inside were documents, photographs, and letters that tied together decades of secrets. My real birth certificate with the name Isabella Grace. Letters proving my inheritance and the dangerous enemies who sought to claim it. Documents showing how my father, the man who raised me, had hidden certain truths to protect me. Evidence that even those closest to me had lied at different points to safeguard their own interests. I sank to my knees, overwhelmed. My identity, my entire childhood, had been wrapped in layers of deception. But amid the chaos, a strange clarity emerged. You see now, the stranger said softly, why you were kept in the dark. And why you must choose carefully who to trust. I picked up a photograph of my father as a young man, smiling, holding me as a baby. The warmth I felt at the memory collided with the betrayal I now understood. He did what he thought was right, I whispered. But at what cost? The stranger placed a hand on my shoulder. The choice is yours. You can embrace the truth of Isabella Grace, reclaim your life, your inheritance, or return to the life you knew, but knowing it was all built on lies. I looked around the room, feeling the weight of generations pressing down on me. I took a deep breath. The name Ada had been mine for 18 years, but now Isabella Grace felt like a promise, a real identity, a new beginning. And just as I was about to make my decision, a soft voice echoed behind me. My mother stepped into the room, her eyes wide and filled with tears. Isabella, it's finally time you know everything. The people we feared, they are still watching. And the man who raised you, he made choices you cannot yet understand. I froze. The stranger's eyes met mine. Some truths, he said, are dangerous. But some are liberating. I realized then that knowing who I was didn't just answer questions, it gave me power. Power over my life, my choices, my future. I stood tall, holding my head high. I am Isabella Grace, I declared. And I will face whatever comes next. No one will control my story again. For the first time in my life, I felt whole. I had learned the truth, uncovered the secrets, and survived the betrayals. And though the path ahead was uncertain, I knew one thing for sure: I would never be anyone's pawn again. As I walked out of the estate, the sun breaking through the clouds, I felt a mix of sorrow, relief, and fierce determination. My life had changed forever. I was no longer just Ada. I was Isabella Grace, strong, aware, and ready to claim the life that had always been mine.